Okay, so Bo DeMeo, the creator of X Men '97, he got fired like 2 days before the show came out last year, and he's been pretty silent about it. Word is that there was some stuff on his OnlyFans page or whatever that Disney wasn't happy with, or Marvel wasn't happy with, or something. I don't know. Nobody really knows what it is, and this is his first time speaking out about it in almost a year. So let's go ahead and react to this video that he did.
Hey everyone. First, I want to welcome you to my new OnlyFans page. It's going to be a little...
Okay, so like right here, when he says my new OnlyFans page, is he joking and kind of fucking around? Or is he actually being serious? I don't know. I would assume he's being serious, but I don't know. He posted it to YouTube, so like, who cares at this point?
It's going to be a little bit unorthodox what I'm doing here, admittedly, but I needed a safe space to be able to post this video as well as future content without fear of harassment or censorship. And before I get to what I plan to do with this page, I first want to address the massive elephant in the room. The allegations being made against me are very serious, and I take them seriously. It's why I took some time to myself these last few weeks. One, to sit with my legal team and figure out how best to respond. But more importantly, to sit with those I love, those closest to me. And
he said few weeks, but it's been almost a year. Hold on, let me see when this actually came out. I thought this just came out, like today. Okay, yeah, this came out 2 days ago. What's this guy talking about? A few weeks. Oh well, we'll keep watching.
Assure them of what I will assure you now and what they already knew. These allegations of egregious misconduct are false. The rumors being spread around me online are lies, and they are offensive. But more concerning is that they're a smear campaign designed to discredit my credibility in order to cover up egregious, prejudicial misconduct, stretching from select crew members on X-Men '97 all the way to the top of Marvel Studios. And they're not just trying to discredit me using...
Damn, is he throwing shade at Kevin Feige right now? Saying Kevin Feige is prejudice? Not too sure about that one.
Incredibly misleading press releases, but also through coordinated leaks and bot attacks, as well as anonymous scoops being given to tabloid sites and podcasters. You've maybe heard some of these. I've heard rumbling and whispers about Bo. Now, back when I was in high school, we called this gossip. Unlike then, today, luckily...
Okay, everybody called it gossip, bro. It's still what it is. You never heard the song Bowling for Soup, High School Never Ends? Like, come on, dude.
I have a legal team who has forensic investigators tracking these attack scoops and leaks so that we can hold those responsible for defamation, harassment, and for inciting outright criminal threats of violence. Now, my lawyer told Deadline that this is Disney and Marvel's standard playbook. They have done this to other artists like me. With me, it's, look at his Instagram. Doesn't he look thirsty? Isn't he a narcissistic egomaniac? Isn't it too vulgar, too sexual? This isn't someone celebrating their hard work or their journey in overcoming years of internalized racism and homophobia to finally become comfortable in their own skin. No, this is something shameful. This is smoke for a larger fire of predatory behavior. Growing up getting black in the South, I had to learn to accept that I am not everybody's cup.
Did he just say getting black in the South? Weren't you always black, bro? What?
And that I would, by virtue of just being me, rub some people the wrong way. And let's be honest, this is true of almost everyone. Personality conflicts happen, especially in creative environments like Hollywood. I've worked on a lot of series, under some showrunners who have imparted some lessons to me that I tried to apply on X-Men 97. And now having run a show, I look back with a newfound appreciation for the struggles those showrunners faced. And I think the biggest takeaway I've had is that nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes. Most of us are just trying to do our best. And usually, grace and empathy are the best response to conflict and adversity. Do you think about it? That's what X-Men 97 Season 1 was all about. But what's happening with Marvel, what's been going on here, is unlike anything I've ever experienced in this industry. And it takes me back to those days of bigotry and antiquated personalities in the South. Now, the way things have also escalated behind the scenes in ways that I haven't been able to talk about, as well and on top of the emotional trauma that was inflicted upon me while working on this series, has taken me to some pretty dark places. Places I'm not proud of. Places that would have gotten a whole lot worse had friends and coworkers and family not rallied around me these last few months to remind me of who I am. Because honestly, I'm just defeated and I'm tired and I'm a nobody who made one great show. And now I'm a nobody being viciously punished for it. And to spend decades fighting for a seat at a table where people like me usually don't get to sit. I think I can count the number of black gay showrunners or just black show.
Okay. I kind of get where he's coming from, but at the same time, to stop playing victim. You obviously did something to piss somebody off. If these guys are truly just genuinely like, oh, he's gay and black, let's not have him, that's just false. Marvel has had plenty of minorities or women or gays or whatever in charge, not in charge, but working in their projects and doing all their shit. I don't know what this guy did. Maybe when he keeps talking, we'll be able to kind of put all the pieces together, but he is right in that he did make a great show. But he probably asked some dude to suck him off on his OnlyFans that worked on the show, and he didn't like it. I don't know. It's just this victim mentality is absolute bullshit and annoying.
There's in Hollywood on one or two hands. Just sacrifice everything and to do so much hard work to get there and then have it all stolen. And your character assassinated because of lies is just...
This part does suck because that show is great and they fired him 2 days before it happened, like I mentioned earlier. So now it's just like everything that he did work for because he's essentially the showrunner. He created it, even though it's a continuation. He did the outline for everything. And X-Men 97 Season 1 is fantastic. It's probably one of the best. It's probably the best show that Marvel Studios has put out. So for that to get taken away from him, I totally get that.
I don't know. As easy as it would be to hide away and run, I don't think I have a choice. We talk a lot about doing better, being the change we want to see. But that doesn't happen if we remain silent. No matter how tired or defeated or how scared we may be. No matter if our reputation is being dragged through the mud in the public eye. Ironically, this is the central creed of X-Men, right? And while those at Marvel and those crew members who colluded with them on X-Men 97 can sleep at night, knowing what I know, knowing what they've done, I can't, and I haven't. Because the price of me being silent is other artists walking into that studio thinking that they are safe and protected, and later finding out that they're working for individuals who would profit off of shows and movies like Black Panther and X-Men.
Okay, real quick. Again, many people have said it. It's show business, not show friends. If you do something to piss somebody off that's higher up than you, no matter how stupid it is or how valid it is, it doesn't matter. They're not here to be your friend. They're here to make money. So if you're going to continuously be a problem, I guarantee he did shit that's pissed them off time and time again, and they just like let it go until it was a final blow up. They're like, okay, like you're done now. So that's how it always works. It's how it always is. It's how it always has been. How it always will be.
All the while themselves being.
All this being said, I do feel bad for him. I don't ever want anybody to lose a job over creative differences, over different opinions, over preferences, things like that. I think that's stupid. So unless this guy actually did something really fucked up to where he was like trying to get it with a minor or something, I don't know, then I think there's no reason for him to have been fired, especially for how good the show was.
The very villains those heroes face and fight every day just to have the right to be their authentic selves. When I took the job on X-Men, I was told that they valued my perspective and experiences as a queer black man. And I made it very clear to them that I was not going to be the black stamp of approval on the project. So it was agreed that due to the themes of the X-Men, as well as my experience and the just general excitement around my pitch, that I would supervise all areas and stages of production. Now, with this, I assumed the studio would protect me from those who maybe harbor biases against having someone who looks, speaks, dresses, and thinks like me as their creative leader and boss. Now, why was this important to me? Guys, just turn on the news. It's common for minorities in leadership roles to not be taken seriously, to have their credentials and their resumes continually questioned by those above and below them, and just generally be written off as a diversity hire who didn't earn the job. I thought Marvel would have my back against this stuff. Instead, the studio looked the other way as my identity was weaponized by Marvel execs and select crew members to undermine me, create a humiliating environment where people felt emboldened to use the same dog-whistling stereotypes favored by bigots.
So now something like this is coming out, Bo DeMeo's doing this. I wonder if Jonathan Majors is going to release something. Because there's back and forth rumors that he's either going to return or he's not going to return as Kang. But I wonder if because the way his situation went the way it did, if he's going to come out with a statement like this and talk about crew members and executives being against him because he's a minority, even though they hired him. But whatever. Either way.
For decades. He's big. He's intimidating. Too opinionated. Angry. Emotional. Flamboyant. Dramatic. A pervert. When I called these things out, they pivoted to attacking my talent, accusing me of being too much of a fanboy. They openly resented me fighting for the fans, fighting for the comics. They accused me of playing karaoke with those comics. And repeatedly, I was told by these individuals that we should be doing our own version of X-Men, writing new stories, and not adapting those written by old white men, by which I could only assume they were referencing individuals like Stan Lee and Chris Claremont. Now, my response to this was to try to calmly outline that.
Now, are these executives that he's mentioning right now, talking about the old white men not adapting from them, are those the executives that happen to be gone from Marvel Studios now? Because there's quite a few people that have been fired from there recently.
Fans didn't want to see our version of the X-Men. They, like me, want to see the characters that they have loved for decades faithfully adapted on screen. Now, in return, these individuals would then attempt to sabotage me on my job, painting me as abusive when I declined to make wholesale changes to characters, when I declined to have Jubilee fire plasmoids for her mouth, or make gang signs, or paint the sky with plasmoids in the shape of middle fingers. What was worse, and what really just hurt, is as I fought before, when I felt that fans and audiences want, I was then being painted as being uncollaborative, too difficult, too much of a fanboy, and one executive's favorite phrase to fire at me: Bo, you need to learn to turn your comic book collector brain off.
Okay, so who at Marvel would be saying this? Like, it's not Kevin Feige, that's for damn sure. So I guarantee these people that are talking to him, or that he's talking about, that have talked to him like this, I guarantee those are the ones that are fired. Because it makes no sense. Let's make a comic book movie or show and not adapt from the comics. It's kind of amazing that anybody that works at Marvel would do that. Part of me thinks it's Bob Chapek, the CEO from before, that got fired midway through his term.
He chose to treat me as a child that needed to be scolded. Even as I was drawing upon 40 plus years of dealing with ignorance just like theirs, having survived traumas that they cannot even begin to imagine, never mind understand or appreciate. Maybe, and yes, needless to say, look around me, I take X-Men very seriously. Specifically, I take this specific show's legacy very seriously. It saved my life as a kid, and I know it did others. So when individuals refer to it as just a cartoon, that bumped me. Now,
That's a really good point. Like, I'm not big into anime and stuff like that, but cartoons need to be more appreciated, I guess you could say. Like, there's a lot of good stories that go into these cartoons, even from when I was a kid. Like, rewatching some cartoons from when I was a kid, there's still good stories. Like things like X-Men '97 or Invincible, even what's the other one right now? Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Like, there's a lot of really good cartoons that tell really good stories. So just need to be taken a little bit more seriously. And I used to be like that guy in my teenage years, was like, oh, I've grown out of cartoons and stuff. And like, as I've gotten back into it, cartoons are awesome. Like, I don't know why people hate on them so much, especially stories like certain arcs in Rebels. Like, I pretty much forced my dad to watch them before we watched Ahsoka, and he was like, wow, I'm actually glad that you showed me these cartoons, because they're good. So obviously there's bad cartoons too, but there's really good cartoons out there.
luckily, as I said before, I grew up learning how to spot these types of tactics, these antiquated personality, this type of scapegoating and stereotypes. And so knowing that, and then with the help of the amazingly talented crew on X-Men '97, was still able to get X-Men '97 across the finish line, even if doing so cost me my job and now my reputation. So this gets to the bigger, larger question, the bigger picture. What would cause Disney and Marvel to attack me this bad, to come at me this hard? I'm going to try to break it down as simply as I can, while operating within the parameters of some NDAs that my lawyer and I are still working out. I think the simplest way to put it is that the things I witnessed while working at Marvel were beyond wrong and unethical. It is wrong for a crew producer who repeatedly white-splains to his boss to respond to his boss's concerns on January 9th of this year with, "This has jack shit to do with me being white." It is wrong for that same producer to repeatedly joke to the crew about how he showed my thirst traps on Instagram to his underage son, and his kid is wondering, do they need to buy me shirts for Christmas? It is wrong for this same producer.
Okay, it's kind of funny though. I mean, look at his shirt.
When I notify them that one of our leads is having a potentially exploitative sexual relationship with a PA, for this producer to bury my report and actually go to the individual in question and let them know that I had ratted on them so that they can then work together to discredit me. It is wrong for Marvel execs to roll their eyes when I raise concerns about being bullied and targeted on account of my identity, to tell me to deal with it because these individuals are amazingly talented. It is wrong for an artist on the show to repeatedly denounce all men as jerks and to accuse.
Bro, okay, hold on. So is this guy really saying he went to the execs and said, I'm being bullied? You're 40 years old. They have absolutely every right to tell you to get over it and deal with it. Keep making your show. The show you made was fantastic. You did it being bullied, you probably would have done it without. So why are you being a bitch? I don't mean to sound like a dick, but when you're 40 years old and worried about being bullied, I think you kind of have too much time on your hands.
Accuse me of failing the cause because I'm keeping a jerk like Cyclops as leader of the team. It is wrong.
This stuff I agree with too. We've been in this mentality where all men are bad, everything they do is bad no matter what. And he's in everything has to be pro women, pro everything like that. And boss babes and all that. Yet he wants Cyclops to be Cyclops. Cyclops is the guy that takes over the X-Men. They made him a little bitch in the movies, so he's trying to make him not like that in the show. And for him to get kind of yelled at for that or shunned for, that's sounds kind of ignorant, I guess, but I think that's more of an issue than him being bullied.
To question my intelligence because my muscles don't make me look like a writer, or to talk about how I am fit with 2 C's. It is wrong for Marvel leadership to pat themselves on the back while giving me notes on a Blade script, a table of white men laughing as they tell me, hey, look at us. We hired a young Wesley Snipes to write the new Blade movie. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is so that you can see that Wesley Snipes and I look nothing alike.
If they kept him on the Blade movie, it would have been out this year. Just saying.
And it is wrong when I suggested this past February that we reach out to RuPaul's Drag Race to find a way to promote X-Men with a beloved queer franchise on that show, to be told by Marvel that they wouldn't want to alienate certain audiences.
Marvel's absolutely right. If you go to promote X-Men 97, a kids show with adult themes at a drag show, you will alienate a majority of the audience. I guarantee you there's not many people that are in drag that give a fuck about X-Men. So Marvel had every right to say and think that. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, of course. In my opinion, he shouldn't be upset at Marvel for that because this is also Disney. This is a family brand, family company. Drag shows are not for little kids. I don't know what it's going to take for people to get that through their heads.
It is wrong for their publicity department to list homosexuality as a hot button issue to avoid alongside school shootings, the Gaza conflict, and abortion. It is.
Again, he's wrong. That is not wrong for them to think that. This is a show designed for kids. This is a company designed for kids. Kids don't need to be exposed to all that bullshit. Just make a cool show. Have the themes in there, but don't shove it down our throats. That's why Disney failed so badly the last couple of years until they started to realize, hey, people aren't watching our stuff anymore because of this. Just let kids' things be kids' things. It's not difficult. So right now, his whining, I don't agree with it at all. Well, half of it. Some of it I agree with.
Wrong for Marvel execs to foster inappropriate professional relationships with the artist I mentioned prior, so as to push others out of the creative process who are not like them based on their identities. It is wrong for these 2 same individuals to write off an interracial relationship between Bishop and another white character as creepy and something that belongs on Skinamax.
So that's something I agree with. To cut out an interracial couple, I think that's stupid. They even literally had it in Spider-Man Homecoming. So I don't know if that's a Disney thing or if that's a Marvel thing. I would think it's neither. It doesn't make any sense because Disney's had tons of interracial stuff too. So I don't know where that's coming from. It'll be interesting when all these NDAs are up to actually see who said what. Where's the hackers when you need them? Where's those Sony hackers at? We need to hack Disney and Marvel. Find this shit out.
Of course, these 2 individuals did not have any issues with far racier moments in season 1 involving white characters. And what I want to point out here is these anonymous scoops that keep on using the word creepy. I heard that term from these individuals multiple times. It is wrong for this lead artist to relay to me at a company barbecue in 2021 that her husband felt that I must get a lot of dick based upon how I look. It is wrong to paint me as a nightmare.
I mean, to just go up and say that to somebody, yeah, that's a little weird and wrong. I don't really understand that one, but maybe they were drunk. Like, at the same time, who cares? If you want to be so gay and proud or whatever, then when somebody says that, you should own it and be like, yeah, I do. I don't really get that. But, I mean, if it hurts his feelings, then, I mean, I guess those are valid to a point.
For advocating for more representation for characters like Storm and Bishop and more. And if you want to know why they're coming at me so hard, why they're risking basically just lying to you, it's because this is not even the half of it. Ultimately, the last straw for me was when I got to Atlanta to work on Blade, and I saw others being treated like me, being told that someone needed to crack the whip around here. Crack the whip in Atlanta, Georgia, at Tyler Perry Studios.
Okay, do you really think they mean that in a racist term? I guarantee crack the whip is something they say among all studios, among all film locations throughout Hollywood. It's not that uncommon of a phrase. Stop making it a race thing, because I guarantee it isn't. I can't guarantee that, but I would assume it isn't. It's a term I've heard before when it doesn't have to do with Hollywood. And I don't grow up in a predominantly black area, so that's just a stupid thing for him to say right there, in my opinion.
Which were formerly barracks during the Civil War. Now, after witnessing this and far worse incidences that I am not yet prepared to talk about on Blade, I relayed my concerns to Marvel on September 6th, 2022, hoping to work with them to do better, urging them to reflect on the biases that we all have. In return, I was removed from the project in the middle of moving to Atlanta for production, and then had my role on season 2 of X-Men 97 aggressively marginalized, despite the integrity of my work in season.
Yeah, so this is legit bullshit. He spoke up and offered to help in a sense, and the people above him just didn't like that, so they fired him. I think that's stupid, and I think those people should then lose a job as well or get punished for it. And then I also do think he should come back. Like, again, as I said earlier, if he was stayed on Blade, that movie would have been out this year like it's supposed to be. So Beau DeMayo, he knows his shit, and he's good. Obviously, if you've seen X-Men 97, you know how good it is.
One, and this is going to be very important, because the quality of my work on X-Men 97 has been spoken about by Marvel several times, like Brad Winterbaum's March 15th interview with Entertainment Weekly following my exit of the show. It happened again on May 17th. Also in EW, when Winterbaum insisted that they were following my blueprint and my vision for season 2. Now, this raises a question. If all these rumors and this pattern of egregious misconduct were true, why would you have the head of Marvel TV making such statements to the press when fans reacted badly to me being dismissed, when they began demanding me back? Why not say all of this then? But when I spoke out about the Emmys and them stripping me of my season 2 credits based upon a gay pride post, then all these narratives appear. And actually,
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous too. He made season 1, he crafted it, he outlined it, everything. He should have been at the Emmys 100%. That's either Marvel or Disney or both. That's their own ego getting in their way, and that's ridiculous.
really think about it, the season 2 credit issue and them stripping is a perfect example of the type of manipulative dishonesty they're going for here.
Yeah, he should not be stripped of season 2.
Disney has
At least
alleged
what he had done
that
with it.
I breached my exit agreement several times. Breaches, much like egregious, sound so bad, so serious. I must have done something terrible after my exit. to make them strip me of my credits. But here's what really happened. The exit agreement, which they coerced me to sign under threat of removing all of my credits, lacked certain civil rights protections that California law requires, thus rendering it invalid. My legal team notified them of this, but still, Marvel persisted for months to harass and stalk my social media, looking for any ammo possible to attack me. Now, what were these breaches, though? They're actually referencing. It was me talking to you, the fans. It was me speaking about Pulse after episode 5 on Twitter and how much of an influence it was on the vision of the series. It was me at a bar, speaking at a screening event, talking about how I had outlined 5 seasons of the show. It was me thanking fans on Twitter and Instagram for their support, highlighting cast and crew, speaking positively about Marvel, posting fan art. These were the offensive breaches. And somehow they justify this campaign to erase me from the show I created, with Marvel going so far as to actively blacklist me from third-party non-Disney Comic-Con panels this past summer, all the way to denying me invites and blocking me from attending award shows like the Emmys, which we've talked about. And as I go through all this, I really have to wonder just how X-Men Season 1 managed to turn out as well as it did. And then I think about the crew. The overwhelming majority of the crew of X-Men 97 are some of the most talented, kind-hearted people. They're insanely talented. And I still feel so honored that they trusted me and my vision and worked so hard to make it a reality, despite Marvel and others on the crew who would have had us deliver something wholly subpar for the sake of their egos. I have received a lot of messages.
So a part of me thinks a majority of who and what he's talking about is Bob Chapek. Like, so much of the Disney garbage between Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars all came under Chapek. He was push everything out, content, doesn't matter how good or bad it is. And I guarantee, because there are certain themes that he wanted to have in X-Men 97, Chapek said no and wanted to release shit quality stuff. I would bet most of this has to do with Bob Chapek or the lady that got fired. And she didn't get fired for promoting some other bullshit breaching contract. She got fired for some bigger stuff. I guarantee it. I bet it's them two. And maybe a couple others. But I think Chapek is the number one person who he's talking about right now. I'd be surprised if it's not.
Just from them. A lot of messages of support and love. And they have gotten me through some really dark times. The dark times I was talking about earlier. But I was also infuriated to learn that Marvel publicity internally has been actively working to prevent them from speaking about their positive work experiences with me. Going so far as to interrupt interviews they are giving to sites like IGN and forcing them to re-record answers that erase me or mitigate my contributions. They've been told not to give Bo too much credit or to not go overboard with how influential Bo was on the series. And when Marvel tells you to do something, comes with the implied threat of what will happen if you don't. And if the crew had any doubts, they just needed to look at what happened and what is happening with me right now. But actually, what concerns me the most out of these messages I have received is the fact that the X-Men 97 crew are still being abused, just like I was. Abused with impossible pipeline demand that endanger their health and safety, and studio politics that create a toxic environment that turns individuals against one another, stokes paranoia to ensure compliance. These people are tired, they're scared, some of them are broken, and they've been reaching out to me for help. And we've seen VFX artists try to raise awareness about the near criminal working conditions at Marvel. Nothing has changed. I had editors falling asleep at the wheel. I had individuals rapidly losing weight, having mental breakdowns. And when I reached out to Marvel about these safety issues, when I emailed them, the response I got was the same response I got when I reported prejudicial conduct. More retaliation. Now, in the end.
So this is tough because A, this is the job you signed up for, but also B, if they want you to make good product, they do have to not abide by your rules, but give you the time that you need. What is happening though is that now shows are taking 2 to 3 years between seasons, whereas before it would be a maximum of like 7 or 8 months. So if they could do it all the way then when there's less technology to help them out, how come they can't do it now when there's more? There's AI, there's the email. You could email all these files and people can work from home or whatnot. So there's a lot of tools to help make this process easier, but somehow it's taking longer and longer for shit to come out. It doesn't make any sense.
The offenses Marvel and others have leaked are designed to distract you from what really offended them. As someone like me dared to speak truth to people like them. They wanted me to be the black stamp of approval on this project. I declined. They wanted to erase aspects of my personality that clashed or proved inconvenient with the misguided narratives they wanted to establish. I declined. They tried to intimidate me with both explicit and implied threats. I was not intimidated. Everything they have done since then has been designed not just...
If you weren't intimidated by all this stuff, then why are you crying to them about being bullied? That doesn't make sense.
to silence me and smear me, but to crush me and to remind me to know my role. So what next then? Honestly, it is so tempting to just drop all the names and receipts that I have online.
Do it.
It has been soul-crushing watching the very same people who committed the above do press and podcast interviews, screening Q&As, Comic-Con panels, where they claim to be fans, while discussing a show that denounces the very prejudice and ignorance that they peddle. Honestly, this means you have actually already seen their faces and may already know their names. And should X-Men 97 win an Emmy, you'll see them again as some of the faces that take that stage to accept an award for a show about intolerance and identity.
Did the Emmys already happen?
Are the very same people who disrespected mine and routinely wrote me off as a DEI hire. Tempting as it may be to just drop it all online.
So here's where he's not a DEI hire. He knows his stuff. He knows how to tell stories. And he put together a good show, and he would have put together a good movie with Blade, I guarantee it. That's the right person for the job, regardless of race, gender, or preferences. Now, there are others who get jobs that don't deserve them. This is a case in which he deserved the job. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why the studio would have hired him and then said he's DEI hire. I think he's probably just talking about fans or non-fans that take things too far, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why a studio would hire a guy and then be like, oh, yeah, no, he's just a DEI hire. That doesn't make sense.
That would make me no better than them. I would prefer to present this evidence to Disney and Marvel and work with them so that those responsible are able to receive what I was not. A full and fair investigation away from the public eye, one that is confidential and that resembles some form of just ethical due process. Disney, Marvel, my team and I have already started your investigation. I have the receipts and the eyewitnesses, so long as you stop coercing them to lie. You can keep attacking me with lies and misinformation, and we can become the ugliest, most annoying version of that back and forth tennis ball me. Or you can start acting like a studio that is worthy of a show like X-Men 90s. This is me, basically trying to do the right thing. And this is Marvel's chance to do the same. And just like with the past 4 years, I'm still willing, I'm still here, trying to help you seize the opportunity to do better. Now, while my legal team and I work to hold those accountable, and we will, I will be using this page to basically give fans and audiences what they have been asking me for months, which is behind the scenes content on how we created X-Men 97, as well as being able to just talk about other shows I've been on, other experiences, talk about writing as a craft, and all things nerdy, gay, and black. This is also going to give me a great opportunity to highlight individuals on the show, unsung heroes, in my opinion, who have been also erased from press events due to studio politics or just generally because they support me. But what I'll also be doing is showing you how I baked the very trauma I was experiencing at Marvel into the show I was making for them. When Magneto talks about how they still come for you even if you play by their rule, when Storm laments how the more she used her gifts to help humans, the more they hated her, I did not write these lines by accident. This was me coping with being gay, black, and open about it at Marvel Studios.
That's also been an X-Men. That's been a theme in the X-Men the entire time. They've always been the group of people that use their gifts to help, and sometimes it does make it worse because more accidents happen or whatever. But that's the whole theme of the X-Men, is just to always try to help and do better no matter what, because a majority of people would ask for the help versus give shit for you helping. Like, honestly.
Now, before I end, I want to thank everybody for just showing up, for listening. I know there will be people, many people, who for various reasons will not believe a thing I've said, who think I'm just pulling the diversity cards. But to those of you who do believe, and actually, now that I think about it, to those of you who do,
I believe half and half. Just flat out believe half and half. I don't believe it's pulling the diversity card. But there's some stuff in there that doesn't quite seem right.
oh, but still took the time to watch all of this, thank you. Thank you for hearing me out.
You're welcome.
Because despite all of this, despite what I've endured and what I still yet will endure, the fact that we were able to give fans and audiences something like X-Men 97, something where people just felt so seen and heard, makes all of this work. Ultimately, it's my love for X-Men that is compelling me to speak the truth today, full well knowing that it could likely end my career. One last thing that bears mentioning. Across 3 projects and in 6 years of working for Marvel, I was never once spoken to, disciplined, warned by HR. That is, until 4 days after I sent a text message to a Marvel employee saying that I no longer felt safe at the studio as a gay black man. This conversation with HR, 4 days after I sent that text, was the same conversation where I was dismissed. Thank you for listening. I'm really looking forward to the content we're going to be providing here, to discussing all things nerdy and X-Men. And so I will see you next week. Thank you.
All right. Well, I mean, kind of want to see those HR texts, see what happens. But I don't know. The whole thing was very back and forth, I believe. Like, it just, there's some stuff of him that I truly believe, and there's some stuff where I don't. Just like, okay, like you're taking a little too far now. Let's see. The Emmys were a couple of weeks ago, though. Let's see if X-Men 97 won, and then who was up there. X-Men 97 Emmy win. Let's see. Okay, no, it was snubbed. So let's see. Here's from the Astra TV Awards. Let's try this out. Let's see what this is. Oh, stupid ad. Oh, these are the actors. Just kind of skipping through. All right, let's see here. That was just the actors. X-Men 97 Emmy win. Let's see if something else comes up. I guess they were snubbed, so doesn't really matter. But all right, well, that was it. Hope you guys liked the reaction video. I hope I didn't kind of misunderstand anything you were saying. Otherwise, I look like a real asshole. But oh well, either way, I guess. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. I think either way, as long as he didn't do shit with a minor, bring him back, because X-Men 97 was a very good show and probably one of the best cartoons that's released in a really long time. So, right. See you guys.